James, the images, the pictures are absolutely heartbreaking and very, very difficult to watch. Talk to me about what you're hearing about this hunger crisis in Gaza, and do you have teams yourself on the ground there?
Thanks for having me. It's really hard to find words to describe what we're seeing and what our colleagues are facing. We do have colleagues on the ground who are themselves not able to find food to feed their children and their families. It's absolutely devastating, and I've almost given up just asking how they're doing when I see them because of just how hard the situation is. And so we continue to see really alarming spikes in malnutrition just month over month. And again, these are just in some of the clinics that we're seeing the numbers. So what does that mean for people who can't reach those clinics? So we know that starvation is already well underway. We know that just in the past 3 days, a number of children have already died in clinics. So this problem has been growing, and it just feels like we're really looking over the cliff edge.
One statement really struck me when I was on your website, on your Oxfam's website, and one of your staffers said, each morning the same question echoes across Gaza: will I eat today? And that really had a profound impact, I'm sure, not just on me, but anyone reading that. But I have to tell you what the Israelis are saying here. They're saying reports of mass starvation is engineered by Hamas.
So first of all, if the Israelis wanted to dispel that, they could allow independent international journalists into Gaza, which they haven't been doing, and they've systematically blocked for the entire course of this war. They're even blocking our ability to not just get in, but to do monitoring and assessments of the population to see just how extreme the situation is. We have the pictures. We see this. We know how bad it is, and it's very hard to find words. And I'm thinking also just of colleagues. It's one thing to be subjected to everything, to the siege and the bombardment and the displacement, but then to also not be allowed to act, to be blocked from helping people on itself is just even more devastating.
Well, Israel, we just had video of it up on the air. We're going to put it up again. They've released video of what they say are stockpiles of aid on the Gaza side of the border, waiting distribution. So what happens with this aid now? And talk about the difficulty and the challenges in terms of security and logistical issues reaching that aid and making sure that people who need this the most actually get it.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So first of all, those numbers of trucks are themselves a tiny, tiny fraction of what's needed. So even at the approval process before things come into Gaza, we're seeing really wide-ranging and arbitrary constraints on the range and volume and type of things that we can bring in. After that, there's the crossings. And for much of the war, most or in some cases all of the crossings have been closed for long periods of time. We'll have a press conference or a press release stating that the crossings have been open, but then in reality, they're only open for maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and they have very narrow opening hours. So then if you do finally get in, as these trucks have done, then there's still a whole range, a whole just web of obstruction and denial and delay and bottlenecks that we're facing. So as you said, there's extremely intensive bombardment across almost all of Gaza. There's extremely severe displacement. So the entire population right now is constrained into just about 15% of the territory of Gaza. And that also includes, warehouses or roads or depots where these things would be moving. We've also had a massive sustained blockade on fuel and the ability to power not just the trucks to move those pallets, but also, incubators in hospitals or the water trucks or water pumps so people can have water. And then in addition to that, we face extreme limitations on the routes and the roads that we can use and the timing of that. We also, through most of Gaza, there's a coordination process where we have to get approval from Israeli authorities to move. And at various points, you can look over different, months or weeks of the conflict, and the majority or large portions of these movement requests have been denied outright, or they're delayed, and so the movements can't move. And then again, the severity of the bombardment, which continues. Also at checkpoints, trucks routinely have to wait 15 to 20 hours just to get through checkpoints once they're within Gaza. And then the range of routes that we can use is artificially constrained as well. and so they're the highest risk routes. And we also have constraints on, the types of modalities and distributions that we can do, constraints on being able to even just bring in parts to repair those trucks, constraints on the number of drivers that are being authorized and approved, and permits for the trucks. So all of this is just a web of denial that at every step of the way is impeding our ability to reach people.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the innocent people paying the ultimate price. James Hoobler from Oxfam, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.